Hello, everyone, and welcome to the premier talk show in the world, the group chat. I will be your Oprah for this evening, or better yet, Jim, your postgraduate students officer. And today I am joined by our leaving sabbatical officers, which are.
I'm Carol, your Democracy Operations and Community Officer for less than a month to go.
Yeah, and I'm Irishi, the Women's Officer for, literally 2 days, less than a month. Wild.
Thanks. And this will be our last group chat ever as sabbatical officers. I mean, I'm always available to come on as a guest, and I'd love to talk about stuff after. But this is the last time you get to enjoy us informing you about all the banterous activity happening around UCL. And as always, a big up, massive thanks to FOMSOC for producing the show. Who produces GB News, take notes of how to do it. And now over to Carol for the weekly update.
Thank you, Jim. So a few things have happened in the last period of time since our last group chat. So well done to Ultimate Frisbee, K-Pop and Surgical Society, who won Club, Art Society and Society of the Year respectively. I was there for most of the awards events, and it was just fantastic to be there in attendance and watching things happen face to face. So the events were a brilliant reminder of just how much our clubs and societies have overcome this year to deliver some truly exceptional work. It's been tough, yes. Different, definitely yes. But nothing beats finding a community and feeling part of something. Have a look at our website for all of the winners and nominees this year, and you can even watch recordings of all of the award shows, and I highly recommend you give a watch. You might see some familiar faces. Also last week, well, on Sunday, if you can call that last week, I guess, the Students United Against Fees campaign held an in-person rally in Westminster to protest, again, the lack of kind of any student refunds or financial compensation from this government. It was great to see some UCL students there. I was there mostly stewarding, but I also said a few words as well. We had other fantastic speakers. We had Owen Jones to close off as well. He's really passionate, ex-UCL student as well, which I did not know until Sunday. He was doing a PhD and then dropped out and still brings it up. The event was recorded, and so when those videos are released, we'll be sharing them across our social medias. And then also talking about kind of fee refunds, all of the sabbatical officers on Monday met with a senior civil servant who works in the government, especially in the Department of Education, and more specifically on fees. So she asked about kind of the reasons why students want fee refunds and financial compensation. So we gave her a very long list. So we are, representing you that way as well and using our influence to secure those meetings. And we also gave her a copy of the recent London economics report that we co-funded with LSE Students' Union and Sheffield Students' Union, which explores several different options for fee refunds that are financially neutral to the government. So I think that's very interesting. And as you can see, the campaign is continuing, and we will keep you updated as we do more things and hopefully in the end win some refunds and compensation for you guys. So the next thing is that more than 1,200 people have signed our petition to save the pool in Student Central, which is incredible. So this pool is so important to thousands of people in the community in the Bloomsbury area, and we have to save it. Birkbeck want to remove it, and we're trying to stop them. So very simply, sign our open letter, make some noise on social media, and let's save our pool together. And the last thing is that it's the end of term for undergraduates, but we're still here and ready to support you all over the summer. So make use of our advice service. It's a fantastic resource. You can get kind of money advice. You can get academic advice if you're doing, if you have kind of any issues with your academics, or if you're doing late summer assessments, there's also an option for you. I've used it in the past for kind of checking out housing contracts. Really important that you do that, so you know what your break clauses are and what the expectations are of you if you go into them. And it's a free service. You don't have to pay anything for it. And it's just a fantastic group of people, all willing and really wanting to help you and to live your best London life, I guess. God, that sounded so cheesy. But that should definitely be their tagline. So yeah, they do all sorts of good stuff, so definitely check it out. Oh, and then this is the last thing. I didn't read the script properly, my last one. And it's Pride Month. So June, across well, at least the UK and the US. I'm not savvy on kind of where Pride is celebrated in other countries, but June is Pride Month, which is an annual LGBT plus celebration which lasts the entire month of June. In normal years, you'd have pride parades and kind of pride protests, although this year it's a lot more scaled down due to the kind of current situation. I heavily encourage all of you to check out our LGBT plus network. They celebrated LGBT History Month, which was in February, and all of the kind of information and resources from that month are still up. So I heavily encourage you to kind of read more about queer history, about LGBT plus history, and also to kind of make sure you know how this month started. You know, Stonewall Inn, you know, Pride started as a protest, and let's get back to it. And that's the end of the weekly update.
Rand, so this week's priority is not so much a priority, or it's a personal priority because we're going to be recapping our year. So Arishi and Carol, thanks for joining us. And honestly, I'd love to hear more about how you've been living your best London life over the past year. What are the main issues that you faced, like being a sabbatical officer and working with students and working with UCL?
I mean, I think
Let's start with Carol.
Oh, yeah, thank you. So I think kind of the big thing for me was, particularly with COVID, was accommodation, making sure that students could leave their contracts at any time. So they kind of had more flexible rate clauses, that students who weren't using their rooms but wanted to return after a period of time, so after like the holidays or after a particular term, then they could have rent holidays. You know, lots and lots and lots of meetings with accommodation this year with myself and Yasmin, who've been kind of co-leading with accommodation. It's been a lot. Yeah, it's been a lot. Arishi, what about you?
For me, I think there's been so much on period poverty this year, and like trying to find different ways to combat that at UCL, making sure people have options available to them. I mean, I don't like, and now like what's come of it has been so genuinely like I'm so glad something has actually come of it, because for a while it really did feel like you were just screaming at a wall. But you know, now we know that they're going to be selling things at the Union Shop, and there will be free like sustainable products available around the uni. It's been great. Also, yeah, just been things like the club and society, like welfare officer training, making sure like all of our students who want training have access to it. Like reporting services for like harassment and stuff. Yeah, we've been working on a lot of things. It's been great.
Yeah, it's been a very
What about
intense
you,
time.
Jim?
Yeah, yeah, it's been a very intense time. I think the best way to frame it is actually with the way we framed it to Sarah from the Department for Education that we met with earlier this week, where we said that the entire COVID season had really brought every fundamental element of education into question. It's like, it's more than just how we continued learning, how we managed to get stuff online for students to learn, but we actually realized that learning is fundamentally a shared experience. And that's something that students have really lost out on this year. And it's something we became very aware of right from the start. And it was a challenge. How do we constantly try and create that shared atmosphere and a way that students can actually have something more than a viable learning experience? It's a fruitful learning experience that they're trying to get from UCL. Despite everything else going on, despite the factors that were outside our control, despite the fact that we had to socially distance and Logan Hall, for instance, our biggest lecture theatre with 999 seats, was reduced down to 42 as a result of social distancing and COVID. How do you have a shared learning experience when you're not allowed to see another person that you're learning with? And how do you account for that in your assessments? How do you factor that into a no detriment policy? I've been working on no detriment policies for the entirety of their existence, which was 2 years. And yeah, that was a tough challenge. Two very different challenges. In the first year, we almost imagined a no detriment policy. No one had ever used that term before. And we were working off a blank canvas. And there are perks of that. Like we got a fairly decent no detriment policy in the first year. But sadly, with the second year, there's a whole sense of expectation. People know what no detriment policy is, what it can look like. And also, we saw the impact of the first one, the massive increase in number of first class degrees, and how that made negotiating one a huge challenge. But we still got something in, not something that we would have imagined, but something that could at least account for the tougher time that students had this year. And we also ramped up our support systems and encouraged UCL to do the same. There have been a lot of issues that have gone on this year, but then I feel like as a team, we've managed to stay on top of most of them. However, my question is, how did that affect you personally, as much as you're willing to share? What was life as a SAB like? Let's start with Archie this time.
Deeply stressful? Yeah, just genuinely deeply stressful. Like I think, especially at the beginning, the biggest thing for me was the imposter syndrome is so real. Like you're like I was just a 19-year-old and then thrust into meetings that are like with like multiple like dames and sirs and knights and things in them, and younger than everyone there by at least 30 years. Like I'm the next oldest person to me would be like 50, and you're right. You guys are all the world leaders in this field, and I'm also here, and you're going to value my opinion. Interesting. It's very hard to convince yourself you have like an actual right to talk there. But like once you get into it, like, it's a weird like barrier to cross. But I feel like once I did, it became like it was some of the most interesting conversations I've ever had in my life. Like you don't really get that opportunity.
Yeah, what about for you?
I mean, the first half of my first year as a SAB, because this is my second, it was weird, but I definitely had that separation between what was my life as a SAB and then what was my personal life. Because I would walk to work, I'd walk to campus, and I'd get home, and I had that clear distinction between the two. Come March 2020, that all went out the window. Like I've had to take a lot of leave this month, although nothing on gym for that, because I was just working so much. Like for me, it was always just I always knew what the next issue was. Like I always knew, okay, once I finish this issue, there's this other one that I want to start tackling, and. I mean, we definitely kind of shared work amongst the team, but I think occasionally I'd almost hoard issues, which I definitely shouldn't have done. And essentially
Carol was
just
working like in the middle of the night over Christmas.
Yeah, and on New Year's Day, yeah. I just essentially hoarded like certain issues. I was like, I'll work on all of these and not take any leave and work too much. But I've learned not to do that now through experience. So growth, progression. And for me, there was always this kind of almost pressure that I wanted to make sure that I was doing as much as I could to make sure that everyone listening, or the students of UCL's experience, was made somewhat better by my work. I'm a bit of a bleeding heart. I'm very empathetic. So for me, that was kind of almost the negative side of that coming through, where like I was going way above and beyond what I technically should have been doing, the hours I'm being paid to do. But yeah, I wanted to do as much as possible. Over to you, Jim.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I have to agree with a lot of the stuff you said from a personal level. I mean, there's this joke I tend to tell usually when people ask me why I came to UCL, which is I came for the clubs and societies, I came for the film society, and like any aspiring comedian will tell you that there's a bit of truth to every joke. That joke is 100% true. I didn't care about my academics. I came to UCL to do cool shit with students. Oh, I shouldn't swear. Sorry for that. But becoming a sabbatical officer allowed me to do that full time. And the first half of my first term as a sabbatical officer, I was there with students. I could see the impact that my work was doing. One of my main campaigns, which I talked about at the Art Awards, was to make UCL a space where our art societies are being used by UCL to do cool stuff. To our film society, who have demonstrated over the past year that they are exemplary at live streaming and broadcast media, could be used by the university to do things. These were campaigns and things that I was very passionate about, that were reflected in my experience as a student. And I was being paid to work on them. And I was able to be there on the ground to actually see it impact people's lives. and I was there in the institute and in Phineas to celebrate with my friends after each shoot that they did. And I was like, I both made this and I'm really proud of this. And that disappeared in March because
It's so interesting
that
to me to hear this experience the two of you had. Because I mean, I started in COVID. I'm finishing in COVID. I think I've been into the office like 4 times. That thing you're talking about, like tangibility of your work. It's always
Yeah.
felt really theoretical to me. Like I know I've done things that must have helped someone, like, but that's entirely in theory.
I think the tangibility of our work is the biggest loss that I felt as a SAB transition between February and March. But then again, it's the March period really almost codified the influence that we have. It's we were always like say, oh cool, so we're the student voice. We if you have any questions about what students are feeling, speak to the students union. Was almost a throwaway sentence that was being used by UCL administration to be like, I could have considered the students, go speak to Carol, go speak to Jim. It changed in March. They were like, no, they need to be in these decision-making rooms. They have to meet with the provost weekly. This decision has to go through them. This is the email we're sending out, but we're missing some nuance. Let's send it to them. In fact, no, they're reading the drafts before we even write it. We became a cog in that wheel rather than just being something that they occasionally thought about. And I guess Carol and I really saw the nature of our jobs change. And we were there for that. And it's quite an interesting time of increasing influence the one thing I learned and I loved learning over the past year is how to use Microsoft Teams on my phone because it meant I could take meetings from bed. So yeah, like honestly, winter duvet. Yeah, hi Michael Arthur, how you doing? Um, but stuff like that. Finding that work-life balance again, like you hinted at, Carol, was a whole new challenge again, which was something I had to work through. But yeah, it's stress. It's stress. It's a loss of tangibility. It's a real personal impact it's had, as well as the fact that you get to hear a lot more complaints than you normally do. Not just because students have a lot more to complain about, but then the nature of conversations you're having with people during COVID ends up being like amplifying complaints over people who are having a good time. If you're there on the streets, you can speak to students casually, and the ones who are having a good time, they talk to you. But no one sends an email saying, "Hi, I'm having a great time, and I just want to tell you I'm having a great time." That doesn't happen. But if students have complaints, they email you. So it really amplified the complaints on balance as well. But yeah, my biggest piece of advice for anyone who happens to be becoming a SAB over a pandemic season is invest in a 20 talk duvet. And on that note, I was going to ask, what would you have done differently over the past year, apart from buying a 20 talk duvet?
I mean,
Let's start
for
with
me, like, I'm not sure because obviously they say like hindsight is 2020, and you know when you think back on things, you're always reflecting on it using information you have currently and not the information you had when you were going through the situation. And so for me, like, I back all of the decisions that I made through the last 2 years. Like, I made the best decision at the time, and although sometimes it doesn't really work out, like, I don't know, like, I'm not sure what I would have.
What about you,
I mean, I have
Archie?
an idea. Yeah, just take your leave, Carol. Carol, like, just don't work on New Year's Day. Yeesh.
I got a text from the provost chief of staff. What could I do?
No, but like that take your leave thing is genuinely the thing I would change over, I think, because I full had a conversation like a week ago going, cool, so you have taken 2 days off. It's been a year. Which is a problem.
Yeah.
I see that.
I mean, Carol joked earlier about how much annual leave I'm taking. That is because I did not take any across the year. And I was not going to let my contract run out without taking all of them. So I took all the days of annual leave I had in my contract all at the same time. It was great for whoever's handling my diary and sending the meetings. But yeah, I think the one thing I would have done differently, one thing I learned from COVID, I should have gotten therapy sooner.
Mood.
Yeah, cool. And the last big question before we move on, what's the one thing you're proud of? If you could pick one thing that you're super proud of that you achieved over the past 2 years. or 1 year for you, Archie, because you're a baby Sab. What did it? You go first, Carol.
Eugenics inquiry.
Spoilers.
There's like a 3-second delay. I'm so sorry.
I mean, for me, the one thing would be developing and getting the sustainability strategy passed at our board of trustees, and having that, and knowing that there will now be long-term sustainable change at the Students' Union for at least the next 4 years. Like, for me, that's something I'm super proud of.
Yeah, that's right. I know how much work you spent on, how much time you spent on that work. So I really understand how, like, the pride you must feel for that. And you, Arashi, tell us more about this eugenics inquiry.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, it was just like, it's just been the wildest thing I think I've done, and the thing I'm genuinely the most proud of like looking at all this like giant amount of harm that UCL put out into the world a while back, and working with UCL and like genuinely the world leaders in that field to go, how can we make this better? How can we reallocate that money? How can we fix this? Or do something about this at least to the best that we can. And it all just got approved. It's genuinely seen it from the start to the end of my like time as a Sab, and I'm so glad that like I was a part of it.
Yeah, with me, a lot of my projects and stuff were very estates dependent, meaning they were the first to die once COVID hit. Like I talk about like the nap rooms and the child friendly study spaces, like really estates heavy stuff. So they had to be cancelled due to COVID. But I think the two things I'm proudest of, um, the first one, which I've already talked about and I talk about all the time, the fact that we've really upskilled our art societies throughout the COVID pandemic. I mean, COVID was such a challenge. It inherently was. And to be able to, in the midst of that storm, actually demonstrate that you can do amazing stuff and keep people connected, I am so proud of our art societies for that. And I'm really happy that I was, to some degree, a part of that demonstration. And the second thing is the fact that we managed to make PhD stipends monthly. I mean, that's something that I know has been like in the works for a while, and previous sabbatical officers have tried and failed to do it. But the other day I was at the institute, and someone asked me, like it was a PhD student, he asked me, what do I do? And I was like, I work in the union, I'm a postgraduate students officer. Somehow he hadn't really read any of my emails. I'm quite disappointed by that. But he did ask me, cool, what's it like being a postgrad officer? Like, what kind of things do you work on? And it's quite hard to describe because we do a lot of stuff. I'm sure you guys can all relate. But then once I said that, oh yeah, so one of the things I did, I made PhD stipends monthly, I got a high five. And the thing is, I've actually gotten a high five from every single PhD student who I've told what I do because of that one line. So like my hand's a little bit sore. It's one of those things that like the few people I've managed to see after, I've really felt the tangibility of that work, and that tangibility is really important to me. And yeah, through that one project, I was able to really feel that. So yeah, PhD stipends being monthly and new, nice and bougie art societies. Let's keep that going in the future subs. And cool, we're going to move on to what's on next week, which will be run by Arashi.
Yes, here's what to look out for next week. And yeah, as always, all of these are on the What's On calendar. Head there for links, tickets, info. We shouldn't have to say this every week. Just check, guys. It's like one of the first things that comes up when you go on the website. Just do it. It's pretty obvious at this point. Yeah, so these are my highlights. You know, I have to mention the Euro 2020. I'm sure you're all watching it at home. But for those of you who want to watch, cheer, or boo along with everyone else, we'll be screening the matches at the Institute Bar every day during opening hours. So that means you can watch the 5 o'clock and 8 o'clock matches right there at the Institute. Great. Then we have, well, I'm not sure if you guys actually heard of our language and writing support program. It's an amazing initiative that we have to like help non-native English students with their academic English writing and speaking. This week and in the following few weeks, you could book like one-to-one sessions with a peer tutor to discuss specific bits of written work or to get help with an oral assignment. Have a look on the What's On calendar if you want to like find available slots. We still have Project Active running sessions this week and next week. So if you want to try some, free yoga, Pilates, or go run in the park with other UCL students, actually see other human beings. I know we've been able to for like a few weeks, but it still get like a rush every time I go outside. Yeah, sign up to those classes online. We also have the Student Parents and Carer Society. They're holding a catch-up. So while they introduce their elected committee members, you could go have a natter over lunch on Friday the 25th of June from 1 to 2. And this will be over Zoom, so you could get the link from... Take a guess, guys. Just take a guess where you're getting the link from. It's going to be the What's On calendar. This shouldn't have to be repeated this much. You should feel bad about yourself. And lastly, we've also put some of our like one-off opportunity. No, that's not the word. One-off volunteering opportunities onto the What's On calendar now. So you can volunteer with children, young people, or adults as they try new things. You can make new connections, create memories, and have fun. You can also find those one-off volunteering opportunities by going onto the volunteering directory. It's like always. Throughout COVID, it's always been such a good way to actually stay connected with the outside world, and for like those of us that have been doing it a lot, like I want to make sure I keep doing it. Yeah.
Thanks so much, Arashi. I didn't know you were a football fan. Thanks for hyping up your 2020. What club do you support? I didn't know you were really into football. Learn something new every day.
Well, Joe, you know something. There's one thing I'm really, really good at, and it's lying.
Yeah. All right. I mean, like I don't know what to expect from a student politician, but okay. Cool. Now, that brings us to the end of the show, and honestly, it's been my absolute pleasure actually hosting this show this time because, like I said earlier, it's our last one, and I really worked hard and took time out of my annual leave to come in and host this. But yeah, I think it's a chance for all of us leaving to actually say our individual goodbyes. But you know what, Arashi, why don't you go first?
Yeah, I mean, it's genuinely been an honor to work this year. I feel like I've genuinely made some kind of difference. Just a genuine thank you to everyone who's sent in emails to us, who've we all have opinions on the things that we see at UCL, but who've emailed us, and because almost all of those things get talked about, I go and talk to UCL about them, and just thank you so much. You have made such a difference this year. And this job would be absolute nonsense if people weren't emailing in and telling us what they needed. So thank you so much. Now I get to go finish my degree.
Carl?
Yeah, I mean, good luck with finishing your degree, Arushi. I'm not jealous for that. Yeah, I mean, I've written a blog which has been featured on today's newsletter, so I have a lot of my thoughts written down there. So please have a read. But for me, I thank you everyone, as Arushi said, for engaging with the union, whether that be through emails, through reading whichever newsletter you receive, because I think there are at least 3 regular ones at this point now. Thank you for sending us emails, for watching the group chat. Thank you to the people that used to watch my weekly update videos I did before this January, which I did every week. I ended up doing 33, I think, in total. Yeah, I did a lot. Yeah, it was fun. I did really enjoy it because it was letting people know what was happening at the Students' Union in UCL. It has been an honour and a privilege to represent UCL students for the last 2 years. I have grown and developed so much as a human being. I've learned a lot about myself. I've gotten skills I never thought I'd have in the end. And I'm excited to try something new and to go, out into the world beyond UCL. But I will definitely miss everyone here. All of the people that I work with, all of the people that have emailed me, the people that I used to just have chats with, queuing up for a coffee, just that kind of UCL community is something that I will profoundly miss. And I will definitely be a very active alumni member, and I know that. Over to you, Jim. What's your goodbye?
Oof. So I mean, I'm 26, then I'm 27. I've had a lot of jobs in my life. I've worked in legal, I've worked in audit, I've worked in fundraising. And this role has actually been the most fulfilling role that I've had in my life, easily. And to imagine that you got this role with you running about dressed like a giant microwave is incredible. It's this idea that there is such a strong community of people, and you're a fundamental part in holding that together and building that up. And I don't want to sound I don't want to repeat to you, phrase it quite well, about learning so much and developing so much through the role, but it's that strong. I've really learned the importance of community and how much each individual student can actually contribute to that. You don't necessarily have to be in a sabbatical officer position. All the individual students sending us emails, these emails get pulled up verbatim in meetings sometimes. All our academic reps. We run the most robust system of academic representatives in the higher education industry with over 1,800 students, and every single one of them was fundamental to us surviving this year. And COVID is a season when a lot of people lost faith in general and lost faith in humanity. And the fact that I had this role during this period in time really made me regain and maintain my faith in people and my faith in the strength of community. So yeah, gratitude, I think, is the one major thing I feel. Gratitude for the entire community, for each individual student, for every single person I've worked with. And also, I'm going to reflect the gratitude of the people I'm going to work with in the future, because I'm a much better person as a result. So they will be very grateful to me too. But yeah, I think that's us wrapping up for the day. So this is perhaps the last time you'd hear me say this. If you're a regular, you know what's about to come. For the last time, stay safe, stay healthy, and live